In 1995, the Cartoon Network will be giving you the chance to watch a new cartoon every week with World Premiere Toons.
That's a lot of tunes.
That's a lot of tunes that no one has ever seen before. New tunes like the Powerpuff Girls, George and Junior, Yucky Duck, and tons more. So look out for World Premiere Toons. Coming to you in February from the greatest place for cartoons, the Cartoon Network.
Hello and welcome to the Screwy Ain't It podcast. I'm your host Eddie, and with me is my co-host.
Hi, this is Dion here. How is everyone today?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing okay, and if you are doing okay, please leave show a like and give a comment to tell us how you're okay.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it. And today is the first wedgie episode, which is stuff that doesn't really qualify as like the regular Cartoon Network programming necessarily, but at the same time is still pretty notable to talk about. And for this week, we're going to be talking about the What a Cartoon or the World Premiere Cartoons. Dion, what was your context before this?
I had zero context. I thought they were just short pilot episodes or just stories that never made it to the main air, or that were just used as filler of in-between episodes. Like, oh, you have 7 minutes or 10 minutes before your next show, where we play a What a Cartoon pilot and move on to our next programming.
You're not completely wrong. So basically, for the whole context of this is Fred Seibert, actually, if you remember at the end of Fairly Odd Parents, My Life as a Teenage Robot, or Adventure Time, you'd hear the logo. Do you remember that logo?
Oh, I remember that logo.
Yeah.
That was a very iconic and loud logo, especially at 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, the creator of that logo was Fred Seibert, who is actually a pretty big name in the history of television animation. He was an executive who got his start working at MTV and then eventually Nickelodeon. And then he was made president of Hanna Barbera in the early 90s. And this was actually very instrumental for Cartoon Network's history because for one, he wanted to save Hanna Barbera's reputation because up to this point, they're definitely at the lowest of lows. Their only recent hit show was The Smurfs during the 80s. Other than that, things were pretty dire. And I remember hearing in an interview with Butch Hartman, who we're also going to talk about in a little bit. He said that when he first got to Hanna-Barbera, he was really enthusiastic. It's like, oh man, I'm going to be working at my childhood animation studio where all my favorite shows were made. And he described it as a bunch of old people who hated their jobs and were just working there until retirement. So that was sort of the reputation at the time.
So I guess that is why you could say that the quality of most Hanna-Barbera shows is kind of on the lower side compared to their competition.
Yeah, especially towards the end there. But he comes in and he realizes we got to do something to like make our studio a big name again. So he decides to come up with the idea for the What a Cartoon, basically modern day Looney Tunes shorts in a way, where like he gathers a bunch of artists from literally all over the world and gathers them together and he said, make a cartoon, 7 minutes, and if it goes over really, really well, we'll make it into a TV show here at Cartoon Network. And that is how Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken, and Courage the Cowardly Dog all got their starts.
So we got a lot of bangers from that. I actually did not know it started off as a What a Cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. And like, a lot of them are pretty well. We'll speak a little bit about the pilots that made it. A lot of them are pretty well defined already. Like Dexter and Powerpuff Girls already have like the vibe and stuff with a few different things. Like Powerpuff Girls like is a little inconsistent with the character designs here and there. Like they're not.
Yeah, but for that time, it's not really as important, especially for people who didn't really view animation as a standard of high quality entertainment. It was still considered more for the children. There were family friendly entertainment such as the Flintstones that spoke more on dynamics of the modern 60s and the 70s.
Right.
However, the main idea was it was still entertainment, more leaning towards the children, at least how I view it during that era. Whereas how animation viewed now is a little bit different compared to back then.
Yeah, but here's the funny thing. It's funny you mentioned the kids, because like when they first showed that cartoon to like a focus group full of kids.
We were called in, filled with excitement, told we were going to be shown a cartoon like we had never seen before. It was true.
This is the worst cartoon ever!
Jimmy Jerkface, 11 years old.
It's terrible! What are they, bugs or something?
Billy Bigmouth, 10.
I'm gonna be sick!
Peter Puker, age 11.
Whoever made this should be fired!
Mitch, the evilest child in the world, Mitchelson, 5.
It was because it was the girls' designs were so jarring.
For Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah, for Powerpuff Girls. Here's the thing, like they were drawn to look like little Sanrio Japanese characters and stuff like that. They look the same as they do now practically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like so different from what they were used to. And in the, like, I guess like the window or whatever, Craig McCracken's looking at all this and he says, well, there goes my career. This is it. I'm done. I don't know what to do next. But apparently, Mike Lazo, another name we're going to be mentioning a lot in this podcast, he told him, a bad reaction is better than no reaction at all.
That is true. I think more the worst thing that could actually happen is that people feel indifferent to your story. As a modern day example, one of the worst series of all time, at least across the board, that people acknowledge is Velma, but it is still receiving a lot of traction, and actually received a season 2 regardless of the backlash because of the amount of people that are still hate watching it and farming content off of it. So I definitely understand how even with a negative reaction of focus groups, Powerpuff Girls still made it into what it is today. And I'm actually happy about that.
Oh yeah, no, it's like, it basically said like, those kids might have hated it, but we still like it. And it still got a big reaction out of it, so we're going to eventually go down the road. And like, yeah, so, yeah, Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, Courage. To speak briefly on that one, Courage, definitely, the one I saw is like, it definitely has the vibes going for it. Like, it feels like a Courage episode, but like, there's no dialogue. It's all silent, which, like, at least you're used to Eustace and Muriel speaking here and there and stuff like that.
And Courage with his noises.
Yeah. Actually, he did speak a little more in the early episodes.
He did, especially when he talked to computer, or he broke the fourth wall and talked to the audience and like talking to us and saying, "Man, I am in just some deep shit." He didn't say that because it was still family programming, but we knew what he meant.
Yeah, and that was a pretty good note because like when they first made the show, they had him speak a little more, but then the executives told him like, Courage doesn't have to speak all the time. And like they all sort of agreed, yeah, that was a good note,
Yeah.
And then and also the Cow and Chicken pilot's also pretty crazy because like you remember the red guy.
Cow and Chicken is one of those shows that will forever be, I don't know if I love it or if I hate it. I don't know.
It's a very polarizing show.
As a kid, I watched it and I was just confused. But the thing was, I didn't stop watching it. If Cow and Chicken came on, I didn't turn off or flip to another channel. I said, let's see where this goes. Let's just see how I feel. And there were a lot of episodes that I was just like, I was just either grossed out or just not liking the episode at all. And then there's other times where I'm just like, wow, this is pretty entertaining. I find it sometimes funny and enjoyable.
We'll talk about Cow and Chicken a little more down the road, but the way I would describe it is delightfully stupid. Like, it doesn't care if it doesn't make any sense at all. It's going to play it completely straight and silly at the same time, which is oxymoron to say, but like, you know what I mean? Where it's like, they will, like, they don't question any logic in that show.
Yeah, and I feel that especially in a lot of these What a Cartoon pilots that we ended up watching. For those who are new or aren't aware, we end up watching a few of the first season of whatever show we're talking about, or watching during that week or those 2 weeks. And we come in with a little fresher eyes, so it's not like we're just recalling all this from memory. We actually watch and see some of these things, or these shows. With that being said, the first one I watched, which I believe is called Yucky Ducky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My God, that was awful. I am so happy that did not continue. It was one of the most gross, disgusting, and it was just... Okay, the premise of the story is a duck who is just this wacky, zany, cartoony duck, even more insane than Daffy from the Looney Tunes. But it doesn't even feel like he has the personality or character that his personality is. He's a waiter and he's serving all these gross, horrible things to these customers. And the human designs are awful. The duck design is awful. This man threw up into the soup, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just, it looked bad. It was too fast. I didn't really think I would ever have to really say that, like in a cartoon, especially with a 7-minute short. But it was way too fast. You get 0 seconds to breathe, and you are just bombarded with grotesque imagery, over the top body comedy. No joke is set up. The joke is this happens, and then this happens. No setup, no punchline. Just you get punched in the face, and that's supposed to be what's funny.
A little bit comment about that. That short, I think Sledgehammer Opossum is the name. I could be wrong, because there are oddly two different cartoons made by two different people about possums here. And the George and Junior revival shorts, they were all directed by Pat Ventura, who is I want to say that like these are probably what he's best known for, these cartoons. Because, like, he doesn't... I could be wrong, but I don't think I don't think he was even a big crew member on a future show. I heard before this, he worked on the Roger Rabbit cartoons that Disney made after Roger Rabbit came out. And, like... Well, which you couldn't tell, because, you know...
I never watched them, so I can't say
Well,
anything.
yeah, but, like, they're so, like, in the style of, like, the Roger Rabbit cartoons and stuff like that. You honestly probably couldn't tell. But anyway... Point is, like, I will say, very distinct style.
Very distinct. Very unique. You can tell his style a mile away, and you just want to turn off the TV the second you see it.
I think, I can understand how gross these shorts can be for some people. I think some gags in them were pretty okay. I remember the George and Junior one in particular had, like, some pretty fun gags here and there.
Oh, I like George. Jordan Jr. was much more tolerable, and there were jokes and moments that I did enjoy. I think the physical comedy was better. It was still over the top and exaggerated, of course. It's like that's what slapstick and physical comedy, especially in animation back then, is. However, it was a little more tamed, and the jokes actually had set up to them. The whole concept of the episode was a bird comes in and breaks a light bulb, and then these two workers who are bumbling idiots have to get rid of the bird and keep their jobs. There is a setup. There is comedy following up the setup, and a running joke of Junior being dumb and then getting kicked in the butt because he messes up.
Yeah.
So it kind of hits at least all the points of what I believe is what comedy should at least have, the basis. If your comedy has no setup and it's just high speed, like wacky hijinks and you're not even understanding what's going on, then it's like, what do you really laugh at? You're just getting bombarded and show all these crazy images with no context and nothing to tie yourself down. What makes something funny is the break in tension.
Yeah.
At least that's what most people would say, I would believe.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. They're not everyone's cup of tea. And like I said, another thing, like I said, a bunch of different animators. He even brought back both William Hanna and Joseph Barbera to each like direct their own cartoons, and you could kind of tell that theirs are a little more on the cutesier side, because like they did the what is it? The Hard Luck Duck? The other
Hard Luck Duck was a very great high quality, and it was one of the best quality animations I saw, tied with the Flintstones cartoon animation of Dino keeping the cat out.
Yeah, they were both directed by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera.
They did a very great job on those two. Very good story, very simple. The comedy was still zany. Do not get me wrong, but it was tied down, and when the funny moments came, they were actually funny.
Yeah,
and that's what made them higher quality stories to me.
I will say the Hard Luck Duck, a very derivative cartoon because it's essentially a Yankee Doodle. Do you remember Yankee Doodle, the little duck?
I do not.
Okay. Hanna-Barbera used to have in the 60s. They had this little duck character, basically the same character type. He's this little duck. He goes out. A big mean animal wants to eat him, and then in the cartoon, in his shorts, it was a dog protecting him. And this one, it's an alligator who, it's kind of weird. He lives inside the alligator's head.
He lives in his head rent free. What can you say? He's so cute.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, if you could let a little cute animal live in your head, wouldn't you?
I guess so. That makes sense. When you put it like that.
I mean, he's so courteous. He wipes his feet on his tongue. He has a bed in his head. Like, he's not empty-headed. So
yeah,
he got a good head on his shoulders, I guess.
Yeah. It's very weird, but it's definitely the cute-tier one. The Dino one was also like pretty, like more straightforward too. Like again, it's basically Dino trying to keep the cat from the intro or the credits from getting back in the house and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then the big joke reveal. So I do really enjoy the premise of that one, and the end joke was really funny. How the premise of the episode, as you said, Dino is like, Fred Flintstone is leaving his house. He's going out for bowling or whatever. And he tells Dino, keep the cat out the house. All you got to do is, if he tries to get back in, pick him up, take him outside, and say, cat, stay outside. So Dino is like, make sure the cat stays outside. And every time he comes back inside the house, another cat's there. So he picks up the cat, sends it outside, and he just does it. It gets more and more extreme. First, he just kicks it out, puts it in the shed. It blocks the shed, drops a rock on the shed. It catapults the cat behind the shed, and it's just nothing's working. The cat keeps getting back inside in more and more ways. And Dino's exhausted. He's sleeping in his bed. Fred comes home, and he's like, Dino, what did I say? It's like, and Dino's just out here please, master, it wasn't me. Dino's just out here going the whole time. And Fred understands every single word that Dino is saying. And we don't, as the audience, don't understand, which is what's hilarious. But Fred completely understands, what? It's like, you took the cat outside, you're in the shed. It's like, you blocked out the shed. He came back as a baby, as a milkman. It's like, oh, Dino, that's the craziest story I ever heard. And here, let me show you how it's done. Takes the cat, put it in the shed, and then we see 50 cats in there. And that was such a great setup to the end joke, and that was a really great episode, really great. And the rules of comedy is to say you need a setup, you need tension, and you need to break the tension, and that's when the laugh comes. They did a very good job of with it, and yeah, I greatly enjoyed that episode. Yeah, they did a great job.
It shows they still had the touch here and there. And then, like I said, Dexter, Johnny, and the others were also pretty well established. The one short that is almost both radically different, and yet at the same time you can see the beginnings, was Larry and Steve, which was made by Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, yes, that one. We watched that one together, especially more recently.
Yeah.
Larry and Steve, literally just Seth MacFarlane doing two voices, doing his Peter Griffin voice and his Brian Griffin voice. Yeah. Would you like to take the reins on describing that one a little?
Well, sure. It's like, because, I don't know if you ever saw his, student film, which is basically these exact designs for Larry and Steve. But that one feels more like a Family Guy episode, you know, because, with the cutaways, with, the more politically incorrect humor and stuff like that. And then, but, I think you could kind of tell, he kind of watered down the act, because, he's not making, like full on pop culture reference jokes or like.
It's also really early on, so I don't even think he really had those ideas in mind.
He did. Actually, he did, because the student films is a lot of those jokes are later reused in Family Guy, like the British people joke, a lot of the Star Trek jokes and stuff like that. But I guess like for this, he figured like, well, kids would probably be watching.
They wouldn't get it anyway.
Well, they wouldn't get it anyways. But like it does. It's also, I think it was a really funny short. Like
It was a very high quality short.
you could see a lot of his sensibilities in it and stuff like that. In that, I mean, there's no cutaway gags in it, but it's very different. It makes you wonder, like, what if Seth MacFarlane never made Family Guy? What if he was still at Cartoon Network making this show?
I'm not sure. It's just one of those alternative route possibilities, but at the same time, we're not Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I mean, we still have his other shows. We have American Dad. He's still, I think he'd still be making adult animation at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Or he at least would have joined a different studio if that wasn't the case.
Well, that was the case.
Well, yeah. With that said in mind, I think Seth MacFarlane still would have been as popular as he is today, even if it wasn't for Family Guy, because Family Guy is his most famous work. But I think he would have still been just as famous, if anything.
Maybe. Yeah.
He would have made something else that turned heads.
I think so. I think definitely, though, with Family Guy's success, he was able to build off of that and, like, eventually go on to make Ted, go on to make American Dad and Cleveland Show and The Orville. And
yeah, you need your big start.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who knows, honestly. But, yeah, and then a bunch of other shorts. I want to talk a little bit about, I think it was Better Things or Strange Things. I know it's kind of a confusing title nowadays.
Describe the episode to me.
This one, it's the only CGI short. It was about this little robot who, like, has a job in a museum full of dangerous stuff. And, like, yeah, I will say, like, you could tell it's definitely, like, mid-90s CGI. But it still looks pretty good for that. It doesn't look like anything super cheap or jarring, it's pretty expressive for what it was, and like the little robot design's cute and all that and stuff like that. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Butch Hartman actually had a lot of shorts here. Like the one you saw was Shake and Flee.
Yes, I definitely noticed some of Butch Hartman's style, especially with the more zany humor from his early Very Odd Parents days.
Yeah.
What else did Butch Hartman work on?
He worked on a couple others. He helped make one called Hillbilly Blues, which was about a crawdad and like a rat or whatever that traveled to New Orleans. And and pretty much that's just a long extended South joke, just a bunch of like dumb rednecks and stereotypes and stuff. There's like one part where they run into Colonel Sanders chasing a chicken and stuff like that.
Get back here, little chicken, get in my bucket.
Exactly. But yeah, that was cute. But I think the other ones he did was Fish and Chip, which I think was probably his strongest out of all of these, because it was about this bomb squad back in the 90s when you can make a cartoon out of a bomb squad, who like they're constantly trying to capture, like, again, yeah, you can't make this anymore. Basically terrorists who bomb buildings and stuff like that.
I mean, you can.
It's super cartoony. Like, the bombs are cartoon bombs. Like, the little round...
bombas.
The little round black things with, like, the little rope sticking out and stuff like that.
But the classic cartoon bomb.
Exactly. I thought that those were... he made 2 of those, and I thought those were his strongest out of all of these. Like, this has a basic premise. It's, the characters are established, lots of funny jokes here and there and stuff like that. It could have been something, but, he eventually went to help make Johnny Bravo, and then eventually to Nickelodeon to make Fairly Odd Parents eventually.
So, at the end of the day, What a Cartoon just gave a lot of up-and-coming artists.
A lot.
Yeah, a chance to actually shine, which I feel is something that we're definitely lacking in the industry today.
Yeah. Well, the internet kind of picks up that pace.
The internet does pick it up. It does give people opportunities to become their own content creator, their own publisher. But it's also just very difficult because you don't get a team, you don't get any support, and you don't really make those connections as much in the big time industry. because yes, we can upload to Patreon, YouTube, and all these other things, and something like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to have those resources that are provided from the larger studios.
Yeah. Well, who knows? But yeah, no.
Because there's so many ideas out there. I know there's so many wonderful, creative story ideas out there. I do agree a lot of stuff has been played out and has been done, even if you haven't seen it. But at the end of the day, it's not the story that you're telling, it's how you tell the story. I will die on that quote. That will be the quote on my tombstone. And I think more and more people should be given a shot, especially in this day and age where we're just so severely lacking from modern day entertainment, especially in Hollywood. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot that we're missing.
Yeah. What was your favorite short out of all of these?
My favorite short. So as I've established early on, I didn't get to watch too many. I've watched, I believe, about 6 to 8 from it. From those 6 to 8, my favorite one, animation quality, it definitely goes to What's Up Duck or
Hard Luck Duck.
Hard Luck Duck. I think that was the best in terms of animation quality. The characters were most entertaining. I thought the villain was very funny. He's a French chef. The backgrounds, everything about it was really good. In terms of one that made me laugh out loud the most, it would have to go to the Dino episode. I think the setup was very good. I think everything was funny. And they also kind of had the advantage of being a pre-established show as it is already with the Flintstones.
They could have, I think what they were maybe doing is, maybe give Dino his little spin-off where it's more cartoonier and stuff.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job. It was very high energy. It was fun. I was never bored at any moment. I never is it almost over? I never rolled my eyes at any time during these two animations. Yeah. So definitely, I think those are the two highest quality. Yeah. And the funniest to me.
Yeah. The one, I think probably the favorite, because, it was one I've gone back to for years and stuff like that, was Captain Buzz Cheaply, which I thought if any other of these would have turned into a show, I wish it would have been this one also, because it's this sci-fi parody about this captain and his nerdy computer, his nerdy robot companion who crash land on this planet full of idiots, but they still evolve where their heads can't support the weight of their own heads, so they use little wheelies to just to hold their heads, and they can stand up and stuff like that. But they're complete idiots and stuff like that. And all he wants to do throughout the whole short is just do his laundry.
I'm just trying to fold some laundry, man. Why y'all bugging me?
Exactly, but they don't have a laundromat on the planet. It's all filled with just TV and bars and stuff like that.
TV bars?
TV and bars.
Oh, okay.
That's literally their only things they care about, watching TV and drinking beer.
So when can we go?
I don't know. Sounds like fun. I mean, today is Cinco de Mayo.
It is Cinco de Mayo. It's we should be headed on over. It's I got some keys right here. I got a car outside. Yeah. You want to go?
Yeah, okay. But I thought that was silly. Lots of pop culture in that one, because the nerdy computer will just randomly blurt out random sci-fi movies. I did not know there was such a thing as a movie called Robinson Crusoe in Space.
There's so many movies that are out there that I have not seen, and I still hear about old movies that it's oh man, this movie was part of my childhood. What was your childhood? What did you watch? I don't understand any of this. Some of the most obscure is foreign films. Don't get me wrong, foreign films are very good. I love anime. I love Chinese comedy. The French got some good stuff here and there too. Yeah. Some people that I be meeting have watched some weird things.
I miss when cartoons just didn't care about referencing old things. Do you ever see Freakazoid?
I've heard of Freakazoid.
Okay, they literally they stop a cartoon in the middle of the tracks, one episode. They just stop the story and everything just so they can do a extended parody of Hello Dolly. Just for 3 minutes straight. Nothing but a parody of the famous musical number Hello Dolly. And pretty much played straight. That's the only joke. They're doing Hello Dolly in the middle of this cartoon.
That's the only joke, and then we go right back to the main to the main plot.
Exactly, which is ridiculous. I miss when cartoons would do that. Just randomly do something that's like super self-indulgent of the people writing it.
Yeah, I do wish, especially with studios, leaving a lot of more creative vision to the artists. Like, of course, suggestions are good. Like Courage the Cowardly Dog suggestion, I think, was really good. Courage didn't have to talk all the time. I think studios taking time and, like, you know, giving like slight input like that is very valid, especially since they're backing it with their money. But I just hate how modern day studios are consistently coming in and just breaking the workflow, putting in what they want that goes against the creative vision of it early on. And What a Cartoon is just a fantastic show, even though there's a lot of stuff that I don't like.
I was just gonna say that's what I really respect about it. Is like basically they said like do whatever you want.
Yep.
And not a lot of it works.
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit more about two that I didn't think worked that well, but it's basically they gave them carte blanche. Most of them. I'll give the exception later. Carte blanche to like all these animators said like do whatever you want.
Yeah, and that's what I really appreciate, and I think I would like a lot more studios and just companies to actually do that, especially since they're so starved for content, or they just don't want to lose money as it is right now. And I really respect What a Cartoon for being exactly that, giving stories that normally wouldn't see the light of day a chance. That's how we got so many bangers. That's how, like you said, we got Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo. All of these are shows that people know that in house and name.
Exactly.
And that can only happen if you are giving other like creators and writers a chance.
Exactly. And I think you've established your least favorite out of these already.
2. It's tied between Yucky Ducky and it was like Sledgehammer Mouse or Weasel or Possum.
Same director.
Yeah. You know what? Nah, I hate Yucky Ducky more. Nah, I remember I at least had something decent to say about it while I was watching. I can't remember what I said that was decent about Sledgehammer Duck. Oh, one joke at the very end where they apologize, like, "Hey man, it's like sorry for all." So like, "Ah, nah, it's okay, bro." It's like you're a swell guy. It's like that hot dog wasn't that big of a deal. And then he fucking throws him in front of a train. That was the one joke that I laughed at in the entire show. I'm like, man, this Possum is just an ass. It was a good setup. I thought it was funny. I think it was like the one really good quality joke in the entire short. So that is the one prop I will give to it. Yucky Ducky, not once. Okay. Not once. I thought it was just gross, just toilet humor. It wasn't. It's like there was no setup to any of the jokes. There was no quality. You are supposed to laugh at how disgusting and ugly everything is, and I just couldn't.
Okay. My least favorite short was Pizza Boy No Tip. It was a loud cartoon, like aggressively loud, like the worst of like you know. I remember I love Gumball, but like I remember for one season. They really abused the loud is funny joke where like they just kept screaming over and over again and stuff like that.
I don't remember that season, but I'm gonna rewatch Gumball and find it now. Yeah,
but this I don't think anybody speaks at normal volume in this cartoon. It's all very, very loud, aggressive.
We gotta deliver these pizzas anywhere in 5 minutes or less. Hey, no, not around the block, but anywhere. You slithering idiot! You lazy foot for nothing sack of cheese dip! If you expect to make big chips, big chips like this, then you've got to deliver these pizzas in 5 minutes or less! 5 minutes or less! Big chips! 5 minutes! Anywhere! Big chips! Do you hear me?
This was just really loud and obnoxious to me. Some of it was funny, but it's like at the same time, it's like, you know,
having one good joke in a pile of just trash is like, wow, I laughed one time.
Yeah.
And was it even because your joke was funny, or was I just laughing at how ridiculous something was?
Yeah.
And like, was that your intention? No, I don't think it was.
It's like I can tolerate loud is funny most of the time sometimes, but this one that's all it is, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I definitely understand that because that's exactly how I felt with Yucky Duck and the Sledgehammer. It was being an ass or being disgusting is funny, and it just doesn't work. Like if you don't laugh the first time, you're not laughing at all.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And with all that said, this has nothing against the animators, and while I can not like the quality of their work, I can still appreciate what they were trying to do and put out into the world. Because at the end of the day, you can only get anywhere by trying. Like whatever you think is funny, it works for somebody. I know someone out there is laughing their ass off at Yucky Duck. I know they go back to Yucky Duck maybe like once a month. Hell, maybe once a day. Freaking just put it on in the background, like put it on, watch it, and just get a great laugh, and then turn it off, and then come back the next day or the next year or whatever. And you know what? That's all that matters, I think, when it comes to putting stuff like that out.
I will say a lot of these, like, they found their audience eventually.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And you can't take anything away. You can't take that away from them.
Oh. And like I said earlier, I mentioned that again, pretty much creative freedom for all of these. The one exception, or at least like what you see, is Ralph Bakshi's cartoon. Are you familiar with Ralph Bakshi at all?
I
Fritz
am
the
not.
Cat, American Pop. Okay.
No, I am not aware.
All right. For context, in the 70s, there is this one animator, Ralph Bakshi, who said, like, I am done making cartoons for kids. I want to make cartoons for adults and stuff like that. He made all these movies, Fritz the Cat, American Pop, Fire and Ice, the animated Lord of the Rings movie and stuff like that. So he made all these cartoons, and he made all these adult cartoons, and eventually he was recruited as one of the animators for this stuff too. And his short, Malcolm and Melvin, is very awkwardly edited. I think it's okay for what it is. I have a hard time figuring out how it could be a show necessarily, but it was like you could kind of tell it was awkwardly edited, and that's because it was, because like apparently the original cut was way more racy and like, you know, more adult, and I guess like he pushed it a little too far for like even the people making these, and it's like, okay, we need to make this somewhat kid friendly, and they awkwardly edited it to make it kid friendly, and like he ended up disowning both of them and stuff like that. So yeah, you know, I guess the one exception to the whole thing we were talking about right now.
I mean, I can see why, but a part of me just doesn't care. Because my belief when it comes to media and output, so as you know, I've been writing a story, and people say they enjoy it, and whether I believe that as them just being kind because they know me, or if it actually is good, I'm not 100% sure. But when I first started, I told myself, even if 99% of the population hates it, if one person enjoys it alongside me, then that's enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's all it ever really means, even if it's kind of quite controversial or sometimes objectively bad. Like, even because I can admit when something's objectively bad in terms of quality of storytelling, animation, blah blah blah. You can say all that, but at the end of the day, what you like is subjective.
Yeah.
Even if it's objectively not good. So I cannot ever really say it's like. I can see why somebody thinks that, but I personally just don't agree. It shouldn't have been out there, I guess I would say.
No, yeah. That's one thing I love about this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can pick your favorites, you can pick your least favorites of these. They are very much like outlets for their creators.
Absolutely.
Way or another, you know? And then, you know, a lot, again, like I said, even if they didn't make a show out of this, a lot of these would later go on to do a lot of like work behind the scenes, help these other guys out. Like I said, Butch Hartman and Seth Macfarlane both went to work on Johnny Bravo like right after this.
And they can also influence future animators.
Exactly.
And even if they don't like do super well, somebody can still see this like, wow, that was really impressive, or that was really interesting. I kind of want to start drawing and doing my own style of animation and create more new artists.
Exactly.
So, really quick, how did you feel about Yucky Ducky and Sledgehammer?
Oh, my thoughts?
Yeah.
I thought they were... I like I said, I prefer the George and Junior shorts, maybe because they're a little more subdued in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, like, I definitely appreciate and enjoy watching, like, more crazy and insane cartoons here and there and stuff like that. I will say, he has a very distinct style. It's very much his. And, like, if this is what's going to be on his tombstone, then, like, so be it.
It's like, who can, no one can take that away from him.
Exactly. You know?
He likes it, he makes it, and he got paid for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and I know there are people who love those shorts, too.
Yeah.
I've seen people online who say, like, oh, Yucky Duck and Sledgehammer, or anything by him in general, was, like, my favorites out of all of these and stuff like that.
oh,
So,
I believe it.
There you
I
go.
absolutely believe it. Yeah, just because I don't like something doesn't mean that other people will agree and some people will disagree. And I'm perfectly fine with that.
We're going to talk a lot about those, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Alrighty. So, you ready to wrap this up?
I'm not ready. Is there anything you would like to add?
I will say, we'll definitely do more pilots in the future. Like, the next batch is like, the next batch of pilots that we'll eventually do down the road were the big pick ones, which is where they let the viewers themselves decide which was going to be the next show. Mm-hmm. And that's eventually how we got Billy and Mandy, Kids Next Door, and Megas XLR. Oh, you haven't seen that one?
I never heard of that one.
Oh, I feel like you're really going to like that one.
Okay. Well.
Because that show's insane and awesome.
All right.
Yeah. And next time we're on, we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I like Dragon Ball. I do like Dragon Ball. I don't love Dragon Ball. I like Dragon Ball.
That's fine.
I'm going to get shot at the end of the next podcast.
This is
We'll cut that part out.
A little sneak peek. I've only seen a couple episodes of Dragon Ball.
Oh, of Z?
Of anything. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z, you know? Because, like,
I think most fans started with Dragon Ball Z, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. That's usually what
Yeah.
they were introduced to. But,
Yeah.
I this is really embarrassing. As a kid, I didn't like watching action cartoons as much. I remember distinctly one time, I had friends over at my house. We were watching TV. Dragon Ball Z was on. And, like, they were like, oh, cool, Dragon Ball Z. And it's like, I don't want to watch this. I want to wait till Camp Laszlo's on or something.
You would have just been told, get out of your own house. How dare you say something like that? They're like, this isn't your house anymore. It's time to leave.
But then we switched to SpongeBob and we all forgot about it.
Oh, okay. So at least it all worked out.
It all worked out. But, like, I hope I can redeem myself this next episode.
They're going to listen to this podcast and be like, oh, yeah. And then they're going to just start sending some very mean emails.
Oh, man. I don't know where they went.
No, maybe that's for the best.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard some things about one of them.
Oh, well. We don't need to spill that on the air, so I guess it's time to wrap it up.
Alrighty.
This is Dion signing out with your co-host, with my host, Eddie.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Give us a comment if you got something to say, or even if you have nothing to say. I will honestly take those stupid first comments here and there, because, like, you know, I don't mind it at this point. Subscribe to Patreon, follow us on Instagram and on Threads. Keep up with the podcast, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.